Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Applied Behavior Analysis Virtual Information Session. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We also have Professor and Faculty Lead of the Special Education Program, Dr. Tamara Martyr, joining us today. And before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We'll be able to share a link to the recorded video within 10 business days. And also there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual information session. We'll start the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. I'll introduce Dr. Tamara Martyr, and then Dr. Martyr will go over the details of the ABA programs. We'll wrap it up with admissions requirements, go over financial aid and scholarship, and leave the floor open for questions at the end. And to start, we are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909, and then we became our own school in 2007. We're proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. And for school enrollment, we have approximately 1,741 students. We offer 19 graduate programs, and that includes our doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate program. And we have a strong network of over 24,000 SOE alums. Here on this slide, you'll see the faculty members for the Special Education Department. We have Dr. Rebecca Cruz, Dr. Tamara Martyr, and Dr. Alexander Shelton. Dr. Tamara Martyr is the faculty lead for the Special Education Program at SOE. She has worked in the field of applied behavior analysis since 1994. Her research interest includes improving learning outcomes for students with developmental disabilities and autism through effective training and preparation of educators and professionals who provide educational services. And this includes training educators on implementing evidence-based practices with fidelity and preparing special educators in the field of applied behavior analysis. So at this time, I will hand the floor over to Dr. Martyr. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with everybody to talk about our ABA programs. I'm excited to see how many people have signed up. It's definitely very exciting at this time of the year. But if we go on to the next slide, all of you are here because you're interested in applied behavior analysis. So this question, hopefully most of you do know what applied behavior analysis is, and that's why you're pursuing graduate work in the field. But to sort of sum it up, when we think about what is applied behavior analysis, it's really understanding the principles of learning and behavior. So it's the scientific study of the principles of learning and behavior and how we apply those principles to improve socially significant behaviors for all individuals. So if we're thinking about within an educational setting, we're really talking about the students that we serve, the learners that we serve, and even the adults who work with the learners that we serve or care for the learners that we serve. So it's not only improving outcomes and socially significant behavior for our clients and our students, but it's also for those folks who work with them. The Board Certified Behavior Analyst certification, so becoming a BCBA, is a graduate level certification, and our programs lead to graduates becoming eligible for a BCBA. And we see behavior analysts working in a variety of educational settings with a variety of roles. So we see them in K through 12, public and private schools, center-based programs, home-based programs, school consultation agencies. We also see a variety of roles that BCBAs can play within these educational settings, including behavior specialists, teachers, school psychologists, speech and language pathologists. We see home therapists, program coordinators, school speech and language pathologists. And I think I said school psychologist, so a variety of different roles. So BCBA certification is pretty versatile to address the needs of students for professionals in a variety of roles. So those are the things that I like to highlight about what is applied behavior analysis that is really important to the programs that we offer here at the School of Education. Our next slide outlines some of those services that behavior analysts provide. And so this should be familiar to most of you from thinking about how do we conduct behavior assessments, and how do we analyze data and make data-based decisions. So we always talk about within the field of behavior analysis, there's always this huge emphasis on data and why. And really the reason is to be able to make those decisions, those data-based decisions, to improve our instruction, improve our outcomes for the students and children that we serve. Also, writing and revising behavior intervention plans is also incredibly important, and instructional programming, teaching others to implement that programming, as well as overseeing implementation of those treatment plans. So that really means monitoring those behavioral programs and ensuring that behavior change is occurring. And then finally, behavior analysts always provide are knowledgeable of the content that's outlined in the BACB 5th edition task list. And that's what all of our courses here at the program are aligned with, that 5th edition task list. So thinking about what ABA is and thinking about these programs leading to for graduates to become eligible to sit for the exam and apply to the BACB to sit for the exam to become board certified, we really think about what is the employment demand out there for BCBAs. And in 2022, the Behavior Analyst Certification Board put out a U.S. employment demand report. And as you can see, the demand for behavior analysts is increasing within the United States. From 2020 to 2021, we saw a 38% increase. And then if you look at this report online on the BACB website, you can see the different increases across the different states. So I picked a few states that, you know, are close to Maryland and our area, as well as Maryland. So we see that the demand for BCBAs is growing. So if you are considering applying to our program to become board certified, you can see that there is many opportunities for employment once you graduate. So let's talk about the program specifically. On the right-hand side of your screen, you see 4 sort of circles there, right? So to become a BCBA, there are 4 specific steps that you have to go through. The first is you have to have a master's degree to become a BCBA. You also have to complete the ABA coursework. And you also have to complete fieldwork experience that is outlined by the BACB. And the final step to becoming a BCBA is passing the BCBA exam. So those first 3 circles we offer here. So we offer a program, which is a master's degree in special education with an emphasis on applied behavior analysis. We also offer this specific coursework that is outlined by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board that will enable individuals to be eligible to sit for the certification exam. And then finally, we do offer the fieldwork experience. So we have 4 courses, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, that are elective courses. They are not required, but they are add-ons, to the 2 programs, so that students who are interested in becoming board certified and may not be able to have supervision where they work now, that we provide that fieldwork experience through our practicum electives. And I'll talk to you about that in a few seconds. But as you can see, we have the master's in special ed with an emphasis in ABA, and we have the postmaster's certificate in ABA. Our postmaster's certificate has been around since 2013. And in that program, we offer those 7 core courses in ABA, which is a total of 21 credits. And the practicum electives as well, which is 12 credits. So we have 4 practicum electives. The postmaster's certificate can be completed in 2 years. And if you choose to do the elective courses, that's an optional 3rd year added on. The master's in special ed has been around for 2 years, but all the courses that are offered in both the master's in special ed are included in our ABA courses that have been around since 2013, as well as our special education courses that we have here at Johns Hopkins School of Ed. So there are 7 ABA courses, which is 21 credits, and an additional 5 special education courses, which is 15 credits. And so it is a total of a 36 credit master's degree, and the option to enroll in those elective courses for the practicum to get the fieldwork hours is also there. As you can see, the master's in special ed is also a 2-year program. It can be completed in 2 years, and with the optional 3rd year to complete those fieldwork hours. Another important point of our program is that we are verified by the Association for Behavior Analysis International, which essentially means that the Association for Behavior Analysis reviews all of our courses, all of our syllabi, to ensure that and to verify that they align with the BACB task list. So we apply for that every single year, and we are a verified course sequence. So all of our ABA courses go through this syllabus review to ensure that we meet the 5th edition coursework requirements. So the way that our program is offered is pretty unique. We're pretty excited about it. Our courses are all offered in the evening. So this really meets the needs of the working professional. So a lot of times students or applicants will ask me, when are classes? Are they during the day? I work full time. So we offer all of our courses in the evening between 6 and 9 p.m. The way our program is set up is that you can, for both programs, you can complete the program in that 2-year span by taking 2 courses a semester. The other unique aspect of our program, so students in the master's and the postmasters will take all of their ABA courses together. So it'll be a mix of master's degree students and postmaster's certificate students in all classes for the ABA courses. All of our ABA courses are offered in a hybrid manner. So that means that you can join us in person at our Applied Physics Lab in Laurel, Maryland, or you can join us virtually by Zooming into our class, into our live class. So it's what we call a synchronous online option. So you can either join class in person or you can join class through Zoom. In the master's program, we also offer those additional 5 special ed courses. Those courses can be chosen to be, some of them are offered online and some of them are in person. It really depends on the track that you are looking at. So I'm going to share with you a course outline for the master's that includes our autism online courses. So those special ed courses are all offered in an online asynchronous manner. The master's program occurs during the fall, spring, and summer semester. That's how we are able to get it done in the 2 years. And the postmasters is offered during the fall and spring sessions. So I have for you just some of our learning outcomes. Our programs are designed to prepare educators to become effective teachers and leaders in applied behavior analysis and the special education field. So some of the things that we are focusing on and looking at as learning outcomes for our graduates is being able to apply those principles of behavior analysis. So you have to know them, you have to be able to demonstrate them as well as apply them. Another outcome is being able to use research methods to evaluate and measure the outcomes of the intervention and instructional procedures that are implemented. So really understanding that research design and how we evaluate outcomes for our learners and our students is a really important piece to becoming a behavior analyst. And of course, being able to design, implement, and evaluate those behavioral programs, both instructional programs, skill acquisition programs, as well as behavior reduction programs, basing that on assessment results, right? We know that first we have to assess the problem, then we design an intervention, we implement that intervention, and then we evaluate the outcomes to ensure that the intervention is effective and working for our students, because our ultimate goal is to be able to improve outcomes for our students. Another outcome is being able to practice ethically as a behavior analyst. So we have a full course focused on ethics. And then finally, implementing, managing, and practicing behavior analysis in an educational setting. So our program is really focused on applying behavior analysis within educational settings, be that through a school setting, like a typical K through 12 setting, or another center-based educational programming. And then finally, the ultimate learning outcome is that students who graduate from our program go on to pass the behavior analyst certification board exam, the BCBA exam, and become behavior analysts. So let's talk about those practicum electives that are aligned with the fieldwork hours. And so if you're familiar with the fieldwork experience requirements outlined by the BACB, there are two options. We follow the second option, which is the concentrated experience fieldwork, which essentially means when it says concentrated, it's a total of 1,500 hours, and you get twice the amount of supervision from a BCBA. So we have our courses that we offer as practicum electives. Through those courses, you are assigned to a BCBA who provides you with individual supervision, 1.5 hours per week. And then through the course, you have 1 hour of group supervision with all of your peers in the cohort. So our practicum electives follow a specific curriculum. We have 4 specific electives, and students can enroll in anywhere from 1 to all 4 of those electives. It's not, there's not a requirement that you have to do all 4. You can choose to do 2 with us or 1 with us and do fieldwork hours on your own. We do provide that within the practicum electives, we provide supervised experience is in the application of ABA in an educational setting. Students typically who do the practicum electives with us work full-time, and they can plan their practicum according to their current place of employment, as long as it meets the requirements for the implementation of ABA type services. Also, students can pursue if their place of employment won't align with the BACB requirements for field experience, that we can work with you to help you find an appropriate placement. And we have a practicum coordinator who helps us with all of that. So she really sets up all of our students to be successful in their practicum. She assigns them specific supervisors based on their areas of interest. So if you do, we do offer the hybrid option for the ABA program, but for the practicum electives, because we think it's really important to be able to provide in-person supervision, it is really important that folks who want to do the practicum electives are local in the Maryland or DC area, because again, we do provide supervisors from our area in person, and we do not provide virtual supervision. And then if you follow each course, each practicum elective allows you to accrue 375 hours per semester. So if you do all 4 practicum electives, that brings you to 1,500 hours, which meets the concentrated experience fieldwork. Okay, next slide. There's a lot of information on that slide. Okay, so this next slide for you is a course outline or course plan for the Master's in Special Ed with an emphasis on ABA, and this is the autism track. So you will see there's a combination of ABA courses along with, in the summer semester, that last column there on this chart of the autism online courses. And then you can see if you are enrolling in the practicum electives, you have that added 3rd year option to add on the practicum electives. So the difference between the master's and the postmasters, which will be on the next slide, is those courses in the summer, which are focused on special ed, with a few thrown in there in the spring semester as well. I do want to go through all the ABA courses and describe them to you. So if we go to the next slide, this is the postmaster certificate in ABA sequence. And so this is all the same courses. Like I said, the master students and the postmaster students take their courses together in the ABA with the ABA courses. So in the first semester of the first year, first of all, you can see, sorry, take a step back for a second. You can see that you can complete the program in 2 years. And if you're interested in completing the elective courses through Johns Hopkins, then that will add the additional 3rd year option. So in the first semester, we focus on 2 courses, and these are your foundational courses in the ABA program. The first one is the Introduction to Applied Behavior Analysis and Special Education, and we talk about this class as sort of moving to a new country and learning the language of behavior analysis. So we go through all the different concepts and principles of applied behavior analysis. Also, that semester, you would take a research methods course, which really looks at that single case design and how we can use single case design to evaluate outcomes, from how do we collect data to how do we evaluate those outcomes and make database decisions. In the spring semester of that first year, then we move into how do we address those interfering behaviors in the classroom through our behavioral assessment course, which really looks at what are the different options for assessing challenging behaviors in an educational setting, from functional behavior assessments to how do I implement a functional analysis and all the different types of functional analysis. And then how do I develop an intervention plan to decrease those behaviors and teach new behaviors for our students. The other course in the spring semester, which is one of my favorite courses, is our ethics course. And this course is really learning the ethics code of behavior analysts, looking at specific cases and how the ethics code applies. All students are responsible for understanding ethics and the ethics code before they move into those fieldwork hours. The other aspect of that course is that professional conduct of behavior analysts. So we really talk about those specific professional skills that behavior analysts need to be able to demonstrate to work in a variety of different settings, really equating to all of those different roles that we were talking about at the beginning of this presentation. During the fall semester of the second year, you move into another behavioral assessment course, and this is really looking at instructional strategies. So how do I assess my educational needs for my students, skill set, what are the skills that they need to still learn, how do I assess for that, and then how do I plan for teaching those skills. So this is a course that is really focused on how do we increase behaviors that we want to see, so skill acquisition for our learners. The two behavioral assessment courses really go hand in hand, right? Because you really can't reduce a behavior or an interfering behavior without teaching a new behavior. We know that that's really important. We can't just get rid of behaviors. We actually have to teach new behaviors to match the function of behavior. So that's an important aspect that we've sort of separated those two out, but they really do go hand in hand. Students who are not doing the practicum electives would then go on to the supervision and consultation course. And this is how we look at behavior analytic approaches to training other people and to supervising others. And so that's a really important aspect of being a behavior analyst. And then finally, in the last semester of the two-year program, is the applications of ABA in the classroom. And this course is really looking at specific situations that are unique to education and ABA. And then we also, during this course, talk about how to prepare for that BCBA exam. So we really are talking about study skills, reviewing content, and really setting our students up for success to pass that exam. If students are joining us for the practicum electives, then that second year kind of gets spread out. And they would do practicum during the second year, the first practicum, and then that supervision and consultation class would be during the fall semester. And then we would bring the applications of ABA down to the third semester with that fourth practicum class. Okay, so that's a lot of information, I know, on those two slides of the different courses. On our website, we have course descriptions for all of those classes, so we encourage you to check those out. So once students complete those 12 courses of the master's, they can graduate from Johns Hopkins School of Ed with a master's degree in special ed with an emphasis in ABA. And if you complete all 7 of the ABA courses, you can receive a postmaster's certificate in applied behavior analysis. And then if you complete those fieldwork hours, either through us, through the 4 elective practicum courses, or on your own, through your own employer, or setting up your own supervision individually, then once you complete all of those hours, then you are eligible to apply for to the BACB for certification. So it's really important to point out that graduates are responsible for applying and supplying all of that supporting documentation. Unfortunately, we do not apply for you. We cannot set you up to become certified. You actually have to apply to the board to become certified. We don't offer that certification. So it is expected that students who do complete our program, that they go on to pursue that BCBA certification. So sometimes I get this question, what are the advantages of the Johns Hopkins program, the ABA program at Johns Hopkins? First is that we're really focusing on ABA and education. So we're not honing in, and all of our ABA classes are not honing in on one specific special ed service, right? So we serve all of our students, serve students with autism, severe disabilities, emotional disabilities, intellectual inclusion settings, special ed settings, so a variety of different settings. So we're looking at how do we apply ABA in education. Students, another advantage, that's a big advantage, is that students who complete the ABA program pass that exam. So we're pretty proud of being able to set up our students, our graduates, for success to pass the exam. We have had 70 students who have graduated, who've gone on to apply for the exam, and 69 have become BCBAs. So that's a 99% pass rate, but this includes both first-time and second-time test takers. So students go on to pass the exam. The other advantage is our practicum. We've been offering practicum since we started the program in 2013. Being able to set you up with a supervisor, have a course that follows a curriculum and an outline for practicum. And a big piece of our practicum experience is that it's very individualized. So a lot of our students, we find they come in with lots of different skills, right? Especially if we're talking about students who are applying for the master's program, or the postmaster's certificate. All of you are coming in with lots of different skill sets. And so we meet you where you are professionally and grow your skills and your professionalism from that point. So the practicum allows us to do that. Another huge advantage of our program is our faculty. They are all board certified behavior analysts, all at the doctoral level. So all of them have their PhDs and they are BCBAs, and they are all practicing behavior analysis every day. Next slide. Some milestones of our program, the impact, again, since 2013, we've had 87 graduates. All of those different roles that I talked about that BCBAs can play, we've had each of those roles come through our program. We have trained special educators, behavior specialists, school psychologists, speech and language pathologists, administrators, and instructional specialists. So we're pretty proud that not only do we see those different roles as BCBAs, but we see those roles coming through our program. And then the students who've gone on have completed the program, become board certified. Those students who reside in Maryland go on to become licensed behavior analysts. So if you're coming from a different state other than Maryland, find out what the licensure requirements are for your state. But all of our students who live here go on to get licensed to become licensed behavior analysts. So to be able to practice behavior analysis within the state of Maryland, you must be licensed. So there are many states that are like that, not all states. So I would definitely check that out if you are coming from a state outside of Maryland. And then my last slide here, I don't think this is my last one, but a lot of times I get the questions, who is your ideal candidate for this program? And I think that's a really important question and something for folks to be considering as they're thinking about applying to these programs. And one is that you have the desire to commit to the field of behavior analysis. This is not a program that you want to go through just because you want 4 more letters after your name. You really will have to understand what applied behavior analysis is, see the benefit of learning this field and becoming board certified. Another big thing that we look for are folks who know the requirements to become board certified that are outlined by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. Don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting students to memorize that, but knowing what the requirements are, becoming familiar with the requirements, reviewing those requirements. It's really important to know what you're signing up for. There are a lot of requirements that have to be met to become a board certified behavior analyst. Again, folks who come through our program, we are there to support you on all of those requirements. We've been studying them for many years. We know what they are and we're ready for them when they change. But being able to understand what those requirements are and what you're signing in for, that tells me that you're an ideal candidate for this program. The other piece is being able to commit to 2 to 3 years of intensive graduate coursework. You saw that the semesters are pretty jam-packed with 2 courses a semester. And if you're working full-time, it can be really intensive. The content is intensive. We have a lot to learn in 2 years. And if you're able to commit to that time frame, definitely the benefits definitely outweigh that intensity of that graduate work. But this is an intense program. I don't ever want to sugarcoat it, that it's easy. It is an intense program. You have to work hard, but it's definitely worth the effort. And then finally, being able to meet all of the admission requirements that Sion is going to go over in a few minutes, and ultimately willing to work and study hard. Folks like that are ready to apply to this program. So what's next on my end is if you're interested in applying to the program, first, make sure to review those BACB requirements. I provided for you the link there to bacb.com. Get that application started, which is Sian is going to talk about, and reach out to me if you have any questions. My email is right there. I welcome all of you to send me an email, check in, ask questions about the program. I know we have a Q&A at the end here, but if you think of a question once we're done, please feel free to reach out to me. I love getting emails and talking to folks about the program.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. A 3.0 or better cumulative undergraduate grade point average. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on the school's website. And please note the application fee is $80. We'll need official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. Again, we'll need official transcripts from all institutions, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. An essay and a current resume, 2 letters of recommendation, an interview, and finally, the GRE is not required for this program. And if your degree was completed outside of the U.S., please keep in mind that you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. And additional information can be found on the school's website. And please note that international applicants who are seeking F1 study visas are not eligible to apply for the ABA programs. And the tuition for the 2023-2024 academic school year is, for face-to-face courses, $1,025 per credit. So for a 3-credit course, it would be $3,075. And for online courses, it is $1,025. And there's also a $20 per credit technology fee. So the total of a 3-credit course would be, for an online course, $3,135. In addition, the registration fee is $175 per semester, and there's an application fee of $80 when you submit your application. And for additional information on tuition and fees, please visit the SOE's website. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for a financial aid when you start your application. The School of Education, we offer a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year, and the awards range from, on average, from $800 to $3,000 per semester, and it's applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. And please just keep in mind, in order to apply for the SOE Endowed Scholarship, students must complete the FAFSA form. And to learn if you qualify for the Endowed Scholarship, or if you have any questions regarding financial aid, please visit the school's website. And Dr. Martyr, I'm going to pass it on to you for this slide.
Thank you. So we're really excited to let everybody know that this upcoming fall semester, we have been granted funding from the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education Programs for a training grant, which is focused on training related service providers in ABA to implement culturally and responsively linguistic evidence-based practices. So what this means is that we've received a 5-year grant to fund 2 cohorts of students going through our postmaster's certificate in ABA starting this fall. This training is really going to be focused, this training grant is really going to be focused on school-based related service personnel. So for folks who are working in public schools, who are providing related services, and who are interested in becoming board certified. So folks like school psychologists, we have special educators who move into behavior specialist positions, or speech and language pathologists. So the goal of the grant is to increase the number of BCBAs in school settings who can deliver those culturally and linguistically responsive evidence-based practices to children with high intensity needs and with disabilities. So what the grant provides is tuition support to complete the postmaster's certificate in ABA. It also provides additional stipends for materials. And that tuition support also includes support for the 4 practicum electives that we offer. That also provides the opportunity to do those supervised fieldwork experience hours in a culturally and linguistically diverse setting. And part of the grant, scholars will be provided with the opportunity to participate in advanced academic workshops, cohort advising, as well as an alumni mentorship program. So if you are interested in applying to this training grant, please reach out to me. We are accepting applications not only for the ABA program, but also for students who are interested in the scholarship opportunity to complete the postmaster's certificate in ABA.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. So at this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions. So please type your question in the Q&A box. And Dr. Martyr, if you want to kick us off and read some of the questions, we have some program-related questions. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. So I see the first question is from Jody asking about the certificate and the master's program. Are they both verified? Yes, they're both verified by the ABA, the Association for Behavior Analysis International. So because they are the same courses in the postmaster's certificate as well as the master's, all of those ABA courses within those 2 programs are verified course sequence. And I see, Jody, you also asked about transferring credits. We definitely have a policy around that. I think you can transfer up to, I want to say 3 or 6 credits, but I have to double check that policy. But it's at the, once you get accepted into the program, then your advisor would review the courses that you have taken and determine if those credits could transfer, that they would, meet one of the courses in our sequence. And then Jody also has a question about the F1 visa. Sian, do you want to take that one?
Sure, I can. So if you are seeking F1 visa for the MS in Special Education, the Severe Disabilities Program, and also the Autism Spectrum Disorders, for these programs, we are not able to provide F1 visa.
And then the last question from Jody is, are there any grants or scholarships for the master's degree program? So I think that, Sian, that you had shared about other scholarships within the School of Education that you should definitely check out if you are interested in applying. And then also there may be additional grants available in the future, but we just don't have that information at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. So if you have any other questions, please type your question in the Q&A box. We have another question. So we have some really good questions. Can you discuss the Project Enrich a little bit more? And this is from Rachel.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so knowing about, so a little bit more about the Project Enrich program. So it is all of the same courses, right? So it's all of the same ABA courses. Our goal is really looking at, we're really recruiting folks who either currently have a related service provider role within a school setting, or they are looking to move into that type of role. Like if you're a special educator and moving into a behavior specialist role. Again, the goal is to really increase school-based BCBAs. So that's one of the requirements to be, in a school setting. And then we also provide those practicum experiences within a school setting. And then the other piece of it is really that focus on culturally responsive training. So we're really trying to marry applied behavior analysis with culturally responsive instruction and training, so that our BCBAs are ready to meet the needs of all students, once they graduate from the program. So those advanced workshops that I mentioned on that slide provide the opportunity to explore those topics even more on top of what's already provided within the coursework. And then setting folks up with the alumni mentorship program with students who have graduated from our program and work in diverse settings, as well as additional support. So obviously the tuition support is a big one because that, it covers the most of the tuition, as well as providing additional stipends to support materials for this program, for completing the program. I hope that answers the questions. If you have additional ones, definitely reach out. We just received this funding about a month ago. So we are putting all the pieces into place.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. The next one we have is from Julietta. I'd like to start this class in fall 2024. I'd like to apply for the Enrich project, but I work in the central office mentoring special educators. Do I need to go back to the classroom to available of the scholarships?
So I see what Julietta is asking. So
okay,
it makes sense to me. So working in central office. So I think, thinking about completing the practicum experience, and we've had folks that worked in central office before that would be assigned, as we set up their practicum experiences, would be assigned to a classroom, one classroom, not an actual whole school, where they could have the opportunity to practice behavior analysis within a school setting. So, there are ways to do that, but it's not necessarily that if you work in central office that you would have to necessarily go back to teaching in a classroom. And also I see that you say that you mentor special educators. So, being able to work in their classrooms as you're mentoring them, I think, could help you have those experiences. So you don't necessarily have to work full-time within a classroom, but Julia, these are really good questions that, we can talk about more through email or set up a time to talk by Zoom. So that's definitely easy to do.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. And she had also a follow-up question. She's willing to go back to the classroom if I need to be given the grant or scholarship. Is the grant guaranteed?
So I'm not quite sure what you mean by guaranteed. So if you want to either describe that a little bit more, or maybe set up a time to meet with me. I mean, you have to, apply to the program as the first step to be accepted into the ABA program. And then we move into talking about the grant. So that's the first step, is getting accepted into the ABA program. So when you ask if it's guaranteed, if you either want to type that in or feel free to email me, we can talk about that some more. So I want to make sure I'm addressing that question. And Meredith is asking about, is there a thesis or a project as part of the certificate program? I'm assuming certificate program. So we don't have a thesis as part of the master's degree or the certificate program. You actually do work on projects within each class. So in both the behavioral assessment classes, you are completing individual projects and designing programs for individual students that you might serve. So there are a bunch of mini projects within each class that would pretty much be equal to, doing a very close to a master's thesis or a thesis type project. But is not a requirement of the program now, but is a course requirement.
Any other questions for Dr. Martyr or the Office of Admissions? While we wait for additional questions, Dr. Martyr, I noticed that we had some students who joined us a little bit later than us, later in the presentation. Can you kind of share the delivery format of the program for both programs? Is this something they can complete, students complete completely online, or is it hybrid, or is it a completely in-person program?
So students have the option to join us either in person or synchronously online. So we have a lot of folks who are in Maryland who join us in person, and we have folks who are current students who live outside the state of Maryland who join us synchronously online.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. Another follow-up question from Meredith is JHU currently publishing ABA research?
So that is an excellent question, Meredith. We are currently we are currently working on a variety of different grant and research projects. Most of our students are not publishing ABA research, as you know, the focus is really on developing practitioners within the field of ABA. So we don't have that as part of a requirement of this program. But we also have had students in the past who've been interested in doing so. And we always have those supports for students who are interested in pursuing research in ABA. What are the start dates for the next cohort? The program does only start in the fall, that's correct. And the start dates for the fall semester, it's really like the last week in August. I don't know the exact start date for this upcoming fall 24 semester. And yes, the question here is, do I need to apply now so I can start applying for the grant? I mean, how soon can I start the application? You can start it tonight. And I do recommend folks who are interested in applying to start their application as early as possible. You know, the final deadline to review applications is July 15th. So everything must be in by July 15th. But we will review applications on a rolling basis. So as they come in, we will be taking a look at them. So I highly recommend that folks start those applications soon.
All right, so it looks like there are no more questions. Here on the slide, we have some very important contact information. If you have any questions regarding your application, if you have questions about your transcripts, please reach out to the Office of Admissions. Our email address is on this slide and our phone number. Any program-related questions, Dr. Marder shared her email address. Also, Julianne Taylor, the Senior Academic Program Administrator, her email address is on this slide. You'll be able to contact her for any program-related questions. So thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Thank you to Dr. Marder for the wonderful presentation. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.